which is embedded in the country's 6th National Development Plan, as well as our own agriculture transformation plan that I had hoped would have been finished last Saturday. We have had to add on another week. We're working on that right now. In many places, worldwide, farmers traditionally manage their crops with excessive mechanization during the preparation and weeding of their fields. However, that excessive tillage also operates against and has a negative impact on the soils. My colleague who is coming in as Minister of Agriculture is a mining engineer. So yesterday, as I was briefing him on what we were doing and handing over to him, I said to him, let him not bring his practices of digging holes in the ground and then leaving them bare, especially when you're doing open pit mining. And I said to him, today you were supposed to officiate here at this particular conference. He was only saved by one event. He has gone to Laos because he's also the chairman of the ant mining. But this mining is not that of digging, it's the mines that are laid in the ground to cut people's feet off, as though that was the best thing they could ever do, like they did not know about conservation farming. He said to me, colleague, please go and represent me. So I am giving this speech which I prepared for him because he's away at the moment. So I'm giving the speech I prepared for my incoming colleague. Let me take this opportunity to thank this organizing committee then for bringing us together so that we can see that as we prepare our fields in the traditional way that we've been doing, of maximum, and or shall we say excessive tillage, we are damaging the same soils. If we had any advice for Adam and Eve, it would have been about conservation farming. And I'm almost certain when they were kicked out of the garden and they had to earn their food by the sweat of their brow, this was a message that God must have given to them. Because they came from a garden which was beautiful. They didn't even have to till it. It looked after itself. So we have come a long way to this part of the world. For my friends from Africa, I say to you, welcome home. Welcome home because, like my own story, which I am tempted to say, Kunda, my four forefathers came from Ethiopia. They traveled through Sudan, Uganda, Rwanda, Burundi, west part of Tanzania, turned towards the eastern part of Tanzania, went to the tip of Lake Malawi, spread out. Some went to Malawi, others went to Luangwa Valley, others went to Congo, others went to Mozambique. Then I married a woman whose parents came from South Africa. Who am I? And so I ask, who are you? If you come from Eastern Province, you know very well you came from Southern Africa. Brother Shawa. And that's why I was surprised that he was failing to pronounce your name. Your relative. Distinguished friends, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, your presence here to me is an indication of the importance that you attach to improving agricultural production and productivity by using sustainable methods in response to the ever-increasing food insecurity and sustainable farming methods and climate change challenges both in Africa and the world over. And I do have a message, colleagues, for those of our industrial countries up north who are spewing all this CO2 into the air. And as they say, when they cough this smoke in the air, we catch the flu down here, because we have also been affected by climate change caused by them. So I want to say to them, let's get hold of our friends from Europe, Ambassador, get them to come and see here that we're doing conservation farming so that we can absorb the CO2 that they're producing up there. So tell all of them to increase their contribution to paying for greenhouse effects which they're causing in Africa. How are we going to use this land? how are we going to use this water? We need to make investment in conservation farming because there are times when we do not get enough rain like last year in 2013. So we can quite clearly say that the reason for our coming here together is also to demonstrate beyond any shadow of doubt that there is widespread interest in conservation agriculture. Because with conservation agriculture approach, soil disturbance, in other words, loosening, mixing, or inverting your soils, which would normally mix plant nutrients, organic material, fairly and uniformly throughout the tillage layer, is minimized. Thus, in conservation agriculture, mixing of the soil is through natural processes and hence reduced need for mechanizing or mechanized mixing. In the cropping systems which involve plowing, the interval between crops when the soil is bare and the establishment periods of crops are the times when the risks of erosion are highest. We also know about the issue of weed spread and pesticide is high when the soil is bare. Cover crops reduce the risk of leaching of soluble mineral elements by maintaining actively growing vegetation during the whole year. And because of this, I have had to do some work at my own home. I see my wife has got a whole range of plants in front of our doors, and so every morning, when I cut the leaves when they are wasting away, I put them back in that particular pot. And so I learned a little bit of this from the lady in Chikankata, Ambassador. She is my great teacher. Conservation agriculture also aims at achieving a balance between judicious use of agricultural resources and enhanced agricultural productivity. Here in our own country, although we are producing, and by the way, we are very well food secure. Even during the time that there has been a shortage of grain in the region, Zambia has had more than enough, and we have not been selfish. We have also helped our neighbors. All our neighbors that have asked for assistance, it has been provided to them. And even as I speak to you today, we have more than 250,000 metric tons of grain with us, even as we go towards the end of the rainy season. And this is what has been achieved with the 250,000 farmers that are practicing conservation farming. Because it aims at achieving a balance between judicious use of the agricultural resources and enhanced agricultural productivity. But even with that, our productivity is low. And because our productivity is low, it means that profitability is also low. And so MDG number 1 of reducing poverty cannot be achieved because our people are not treating this as though it was a business through which they can earn sufficient. The average productivity in our land for maize alone stands at less than 2 metric tons per hectare. It in fact stands at 1.89 metric tons per hectare. I understand Malawi does better than that by about 5. I understand Zimbabwe does better at around 7. Therefore, we have a long way to go, even with conservation farming. We need to do a lot more. This is why I appreciate what the EU has done by providing the CASO program, which is the Conservation Agriculture Scaling Up program. We appreciate that from the EU, sincerely. But we need also to combine this with conservation farming so that our yields can be enhanced. At minimum, our strategic plan, the transformation plan, is seeking to get us to about 5 metric tons per hectare. It means we can also reduce on the quantity of fertilizers that we're using. Also, this creates tremendous economic and social pressures. It arises amongst our small-scale farmers because the use of fertilizers becomes very prominent. And I want to tell you that within our own country, the biggest cost in the Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock is in fact the Farmer Input Support Program, FISIP. We import each year 100,000 metric tons of urea compound from abroad. As of last year, we decided we were going to produce some of the compound D fertilizer here in our own country. And for the very first time, since our plant at Kafue was ever built from 1965, we attained almost 100,000 metric tons, which is what we needed to support the small-scale farmers. It's not the entire requirement, but that's what we managed to achieve. So we know that conservation agriculture also makes positive contribution against increasing greenhouse effect, especially what we spew into the atmosphere. So where are we? Well, we know that if our current systems, agricultural systems, were to be sustained, they were to be continued, they would simply cause us not to achieve sustainability in our practices in the long term, nor can it achieve profitability in our programs. And here in our country, we've continued to practice a mono crop, i.e. maize, maize, maize. So one of the things that we're doing in our transformation program is to diversify into other crops, including wheat for small scale, including soybeans, including sorghum, including millet, including rice. And I want to share this with you for those of you who are coming from Africa. In 2012, I traveled to Cambodia. And while I was in Cambodia, I wanted to see what they were doing in the rice area. I want to say to you that I was extremely disappointed with what I found, not in terms of their production. I found truck upon truck of containers packing rice, and I wanted to know where it was going. And they said to me, one of the biggest customers they had was Angola. But Angola shares a border with us in Western Province, a long border too for that matter. And Western Province produces rice. And I asked myself, what kind of economics is Africa practicing? When you can import rice from Cambodia, bring it all the way into Angola, and you're sharing a border with a country that's producing rice, and we're not trading with one another. Little wonder, we only have 11.2% trade between ourselves. So as I go back to commerce, trade, and industry, I want to tell all you Africans, especially you, our neighbors, I'll be visiting with you because I am part and parcel of SADC and COMESA. You are my brothers, you are my sisters, so I'm going to make sure that I can sell to you rice, maize, sorghum, soybeans, as well as stock feed. I'm going to do that. So welcome me. So my dear brothers and sisters who have come to visit with us, I want you to know that as far as we are concerned in this country, we are sold on this. And I'm thankful to you for having chosen Zambia to be the inaugural country to hold this particular Congress. And I want to say to you also that as you look for a hub, we would like to offer Zambia to you as a hub for conservation farming for this continent and also especially for this region. Let me conclude therefore, colleagues, by saying this, that ideas are like rabbits. You get a couple of them, learn how to look after them, and pretty soon you have a dozen. Same goes. This is a quote from John Steinbeck, and how true his message is to this time as well. So, my dear colleagues, with these timeless words from John Steinbeck, let me once again welcome you to Zambia and to this Congress, which I'm sure will provide you with ideas and you will be able to multiply them amongst yourselves. Let me also conclude by conveying my heartfelt appreciation for your having chosen Zambia to host your first and inaugural conference. This is the land of the free. This is the real Africa. Let us all, gentlemen and ladies, pledge together to spare no effort in making this a memorable occasion for Africa and a great success story for our continent. May your meeting be a great success, and may God Almighty, our Creator, bless each one of us, not only during these deliberations, but also as you travel back to your respective countries. God bless you, and may you enjoy this program. I also hope that as you, on Thursday, I see from your program, you'll be traveling out. I wish they could go back to Chikankata to see that lady. We should certainly take them there, Excellency. I'm wondering about the road, and this time I want you to come with us as well. Ladies and gentlemen, God bless you, and I declare this Congress officially open. Thank you.